So the finish is on the Banjitar. The It's all nice and dry. Time to smooth it all out. Install the tuners. Pop the resonator pop back on. String her up tuner and see how she sounds. Stay tuned. I have in my hand some 600 grit sandpaper and some 1500 grit sandpaper. So now, in order to smooth everything out and just make sure that everything's nice and even, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand this thing down, starting at the headstock, work my way down, um, and just make sure that I get all the rough areas out, right? I want her to be baby smooth. Um, from there, I'll go over to my drill. I've already got my bit inserted. We'll insert the tuners. I'll go ahead and pop the screws on over there. Then we'll come back over here and um, we'll come back over here to finish her out. So here we go. All right. And again, when it comes to this sanding that we're doing right now, we're not trying to remove material. Um, we're just, this is called finish sanding. So all we're doing is smoothing everything out, making sure that there aren't any bumps or rises in the finish. What'll happen when we're finished here is we'll have just a nice, smooth, slick surface. Now, I could, if I really, really wanted to, I could put another coat of clear coat and let her sit a few more hours. I'm not really wanting to do that though, mostly because I really want to get to strumming and picking on this thing. What I found too is that the finer the grit of sandpaper that I'm using, the less time I ultimately spend using it. So, like if I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper, which yes, 80 grit, I'm removing material. In fact, I'm removing all kinds of material with 80 grit. But in 60 grit, even more aggressive. And I will spend several minutes and usually applying a whole lot of force. By the time I get down to 1500 grit, there's some force applied. Don't get me wrong. You're not just rubbing the surface by any stretch, but you're also I'll probably have to tighten these lugs a little bit too. Look like one or two of them is worked loose. But again, you're also not trying to go hard in the paint, so to speak. Again, all you're doing is you are kind of, you are affecting the clear coat that's on there, absolutely. But you're not trying to take any wood off. You're really not trying to take anything but just high areas of the clear coat off. So again, the idea isn't to carve or shape. It's it's making things smooth and slick. Um, I like smooth and slick. I like the way it feels. Some people do prefer maybe a little bit rougher a feel. But I like being able to slide my hand up and down. Check these lugs. And all I'm doing, I'm grabbing these lugs and I'm just kind of checking them with my hand, right? If one of them jiggles or twists or turns a little bit, then I know I'm gonna need to tighten it down. You know, I had one a second ago. I just kind of hand tighten it, and I think I probably got it pretty good. I'll take my little socket here in a little bit and kind of get after it a bit. I might. And when you're sanding too, um, most time the rule of thumb is go with the grain. Some will tell you that some people will tell you that as you maybe switch grits of sandpaper, that you alternate and go with the grain with the first grit, and then against the grain with the next grit, back to with the grain, and then back to against. I don't know. I've done it both ways. I find that just staying with the grain is effective and really kind of keeps things looking nice and neat, because sometimes when you're sanding, especially with a rougher grit, like 220 or 180, and even definitely with your removing grits like 80 and 60, um, you can really notice where the sandpaper um, where it really did, kind of cut across the grain a little bit, and you can see those lines and stuff. So looks like we're just about done with this 600 grit. So I'm going to go ahead and give her a good wipe down here. Um, I'm not really gonna touch the front there up by the tail piece. Um, and again, when you're sanding, you always want to get all of your sanding dust off. Um, because for one thing, it'll kind of tell you if you've got any blemishes. But then too, if you are going to put anything back over top, um, any dust that you leave in will certainly um, be visible, and it will mar and will blemish. Uh, so now I've got her smooth. Now take the 1500. And really kind of shine her up. And some people will even take a little bit of steel wool, real fine steel wool, and kind of get after some of their surfaces. I've never done that. I've never tried it. I don't know what the results look like, but some people like it. Um, and there are even finer grits of sandpaper that you can use. I mean, you start getting into automotive grits that are really kind of designed for sheet metal and stuff like that. But they're out there. You certainly try them. I'm generally happy with 15, 1600. Um, I really don't see any reason to get any finer grit than that, but it's out there. It's a thing. See, I'm just about finished with the back side of this neck already. This particular neck, just because of the way it was built, there are so many crooks and crannies and crevices and nooks. The truth is, I probably could have gone over this with a little bit more aggressive grit, probably a 220 or even a 400, and gotten it a little bit better, but I'm satisfied. Now, again, this neck isn't going to look like it never was going to look like it came out of the factory. A little bit of roughage there in those corners, but not bad at all. And you could even, if you wanted to, on your cloth, use a little bit of mineral spirits. Um, really, really make sure that you get all that sand and dust off. There you have it. That neck, she's got a nice glossy look to her. Um, Oh, I wish you could feel that headstock right in there. Oh, that's gorgeous. And even back there too. You kind of feel where I've burned the numbers in. See if I can get this right here a little better. Gotta be careful. You start getting friction, and my fingers are starting to get hot. And there we go. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and wrap this segment up, and then the next segment we'll drill and install those tuners. Okay, so we're here. We've got my drill now. I've got, if I'm not mistaken, I've got a 5/16 bit, or not a 5/16, 5/64 bit. Um, Actually, I've got a 1/16 bit. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the drill, and you got to look real close. You can see four tiny little holes in the back of those tuner planks. So we're going to take this drill, and we're just going to, you don't have to drill very far. I usually just kind of drill until I feel it bite a little bit. Because if you drill too far, you'll end up poking through on the front side of the headstock, and then it'll just look kind of ugly. Check out the front side. Nope, no unsightly holes came through. So now comes the fun, working with these little bitty screws. And this is probably one of the more tedious parts of doing anything like this, at least as far as I'm concerned. Just because you have these little tiny screws. Like I said, I'm not going to bother with those plastic washers. I could. Um, then I need to, but then, like I said, I wouldn't get enough of the tuning post sticking up to wrap the string around. Um, so I should have 8 screws here. And the trick is really just kind of get it in there, get it started a little bit. If you use a screwdriver with a magnetic tip, it can make it a little bit easier. You don't want too big a bit, otherwise you won't be able to get it to turn. Too small a bit though, and you'll really kind of start stripping it. On these planks that tend to be 3 on a plank or 6 on a plank, because sometimes I will do a little bit of work with 12 string. What I usually like to do is do the outside screws first. And 6 on a plank, what you'll have obviously is a longer plank because you've got 3 more peg heads on there. But you will have typically typically you only end up with one more screw on the plank. Um, Usually what you'll have is two outside, so basically one at the top and one at the bottom, and then two about a third of the way in each side, and then one right in the middle. And what I what I usually do is I will work my way towards the middle on these screws. This. Give it a little tug, and voila, the bass side is on. Now the treble side, which if you do this right, you will see that plank start to go flush against the headstock. Again, just take your screw, kind of find the hole, get him started just a little bit. Doesn't have to be very much, just a little bit, just where he kind of bites in there a little bit and stay steady. And see, I've got big, nervous bear paws for hands, so probably all the Mountain Dew I drink's why my hands are always so unsteady. But yeah, this gets a little tedious for me. Again, you wanna make sure that you're going straight into that screw with the screwdriver. Otherwise, if you're not careful, you'll start to strip that screw head out a little bit. And then if you ever need to take the peg head off or if you ever needed to take the tuners off for whatever reason, you'd have to get creative and start trying to figure some stuff out. So I'll find that hole. Again, these are really small holes, so got him. Some people on these little screws that go on the back of the tuners, some people will take a little bit of candle wax and put on the back of them or on the screws to kind of give them a little bit of lubrication. Which is honestly not a terrible idea because if you're not careful, these little screws they can break easily. All right. So now when we come back, we will we'll put the resonator on. All right. So now this resonator, again, it's got this hook in here. You see the support on the tailpiece. So what we're going to do is we've got to line some stuff up. Looks like we've about got him as lined up as we're going to get him. So now we just take this big slot head screwdriver, or flathead as some people call it. And we'll just turn her. Boom. No, I'm not a fan of how loose that is. Maybe I better re-examine how that's in there. Okay. Just a little hair turn and she ain't loose anymore. All right. So now, nothing left to do. String this bad boy up. So we'll go ahead and set up for that and then come back. All right, so we'll come back. All right, so now time to put the finishing touches on this Banjitar, right? So you'll need the following items to do this. Obviously, the Banjitar or six-string banjo. Um, so we've got the tuners all installed. We've got her all shined up. Now, um, what you want to do is you want to make sure on these tuners that you have the holes basically aligned so that they come towards the inside of the peg head. Now, not a lot of fancy schmancy tools required for this operation. Obviously, we'll need the bridge. Won't do that right this minute. We'll need some strings. Need some string snips and a way to tune it. So these strings here, they're Martin extra light gauge, 10 to 47s. I kind of felt like extra light would be more appropriate just because I don't know, how sturdy everything is. And this neck, I think, is made of pine anyway, and I'm not seeing any kind of truss rod. Pine being a real soft wood does tend to warp. So now, with a six-string banjo, you honestly would string it up and tune it the same way that you would string up a six-string guitar, right? So in this case, these Martins, they're pretty cool. They're labeled. So like this one says, it's the sixth string, the E string, right? So what we're gonna do is I'll kind of bring that down a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So with this particular tailpiece, um, the way these holes are in the tailpiece, I could perhaps try and take this ball end, drop in here, and trust that it'll hold. But I've never successfully trusted that in the past. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try and come up under the tailpiece like so. Bring the string, take the tip, thread it through, And we're gonna just kind of go like that, right? And just kind of let that loop. Now you say, but Rob, shouldn't you put your bridge on there? No, not yet. Now, because I'm working with steel strings and not nylon strings, give myself about 4 fingers off the fretboard. Come from the inside of the tuner head. All right. I'm going to come around. I'm going to come back under the string. All right. And now, this part's where it gets a little on the tricky, just because you've got that wound string, right? And I'm going to come back over. I'm going to kind of curl it, right? Because what I'm trying to do is get that string as tight around that head, that peg head, as I can. And then you go counterclockwise. And try and keep that forced down. All right. Now, I'm not going to bring the string anywhere close to up to pitch yet. Just enough where I get a little bit of tension on him. Just so that he'll go down into the slot in the nut. And where the, and just enough where the string starts to pull. And then, honestly, I've got enough here that I'm gonna go ahead and kind of clip this. Need a little bit more persuasion when you clip them. All right, put him there. I'll wind him a little bit more. I'll worry about getting him up to tension here in a little bit. All right. So that's my. And by the way, you're going to tune this thing EAD GBE, just like your regular 6-string guitar, right? So let's see if I have a little bit of a crease in him. And actually, if I really I take that ball, come right in there, and again, just kind of feed the end through the ball. It'll slide down over. All right, come up, 4 fingers. And you probably can't see what I'm doing over here, but again, from the inside, all right, I got my 4 fingers. Come around. Get this thing as tight around that post as I can. Ideally, I would really like to get more than just the bare wire, but we can make it work. And again, we're gonna wrap. We're gonna go counterclockwise. I just realized I got a little gunk on that fretboard. I'm gonna have to clean off here in a little bit, but That's not too big of an issue. You want to watch, make sure that that the strings don't go under one another. It just kind of makes for a bad day. All right. All right. Go ahead and clip him. All right. So as I was saying, you're going to tune this thing just like a regular 6-string guitar, E A D G B E. And so one of the cool things about a 6-string banjo, also known as a banjitar, is that maybe you play guitar already, right? And you're thinking, well, I wouldn't mind adding some banjo in my repertoire. But banjos are tuned different. They're typically tuned to an open G, which, I mean, honestly, open tunings are real popular among some guitarists. Now, and the cigar box guitars and similar style guitars that I build, I tend to tune them to open G, but those guitars are banjos, 5-string banjos are often tuned something like DGB, um, GD, all right, or something like that, which gives you an open G tuning, which is nice. But if you're not familiar with that tuning, um, now you're dealing with learning new chord shapes um, and all that good stuff. Now, Open G does have this nice advantage in that you can make bar chords real easy. All you got to do is literally lay a bar or lay your finger across the fretboard, and you'll get bar chords. Now let's turn this thing over this way. The way I can work from this side. Speaking of G, we are almost 2/3 of the way through this stringing. All right. And see, this is why we bring it around, get it tight around the post, and then come up, because it wants to flip. And we don't want that to happen. And there's, like I said, there's stuff you kind of got to watch out for, like the string really wants to go kind of slip under his buddies, um, which will then just create a mess for us. And so again, this initial stringing, all we're doing is just kind of getting enough tension where it'll lay in place. Because we're gonna have to put that bridge on there here in a second. Of course, we want the string to wrap around the post. Um, all right. Cut her. Make sure I didn't cut her too close. But yeah, so with uh, with these banjitars, these 6-string banjos, um, again tuned like a regular guitar, like a regular 6-string guitar. So with that, what you've got then is all of your familiar notes and chord shapes and scales and all that stuff are the same. You don't have to relearn anything. If you're like me, old dog, new tricks, all that good jazz. Um, that's a good thing, right? Um, you know, and it's really then for someone who is kind of looking maybe for that banjo sound, that kind of bluegrass, gospel music, banjo sound. But again, you know don't have the time or patience. Um, this is a great way to get that banjo going without a whole big learning curve. So I've been kind of wanting me a banjitar for a while now. I saw this on eBay and thought this is my chance. And I like the idea of being able to kind of put a little bit of work into the neck to kind of shape it up. So now we got the last string going. The high E. This thing's almost angel hair thin. So I'm gonna have to be careful with it. All right. Oh, he did not do what I wanted him to do. All right. There we go. That's more like it. All right. So now we'll just kind of go ahead and put this bridge on here. Make sure I slide him up where he's supposed to be. All right. So we'll make this a 5-parter, and when we come back, we'll tune her up and see how she sounds. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Leave a comment, and we'll see you on the flip side.